Hi everyone, it's John Cottrell of MBODY Yoga. And this is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice called Soft Flow Yoga. Glad you can be here with me. So for our practice today, we're going to focus on two poses, tree pose and head to knee pose. Now, why those particular postures? They seem very different. Well, actually, there's a lot of similarities between those two postures, and I thought we'd do them in this one practice. And we will be doing some balancing, so let me talk about our props. Our first one, since I mentioned balance, is that I've got my chair here, and you just want to have something that's going to help you to stabilize as you balance on one foot. So you can just have a hand against a wall, a chair, a table, anything that's next to you, just to help you with some balance, okay? So that's my chair, but also our other props that we like to use for our practice, and that's something soft that you can sit on and kneel on. I have my nice soft folded blanket right here. That could be a folded towel. You can even double up on your yoga mats if you like. We also like to use a couple of yoga blocks. They can also be some hardbound books, something that's solid but firm and kind of high, okay? And we will be doing a pose that we use our blocks. I also have a yoga strap here. This is actually kind of optional for our practice. For one of our poses, our featured poses, which is head to knee pose, it does involve some hamstring stretching, so you're welcome to use a strap or anything that resembles a strap. That could be a belt, a jump rope, something like that. So I'll just have this handy just in case we want to use it. And then lastly, also another optional prop here is just a nice big pillow or cushion. This is my yoga bolster, and so I like to have that handy just in case we want to use that, either just to sit on, but also very nice for maybe elevating your legs or elevating your bent knees in Shavasana. So we'll just have that nearby. I'm going to move my chair out of the way, but we will be started in a seated position. So as you find your comfortable seat, feel free to sit with your legs crossed. You can also sit with your legs extended if that feels a little bit more comfortable. You do want to have a nice extension through the spine, so if it feels best to maybe sit in that chair or up against a wall, feel free to do that so you just have a little bit of extra support. Once you have found that seat, just take a nice deep breath in. Fill up your lungs by breathing in through your nose. And then exhale through your nose or out through your mouth. Do that one more time. A nice full breath in. And an exhale. Nice deep cleansing breath. And just helping your body to settle in. Arrive in the space as we begin our practice together. Now you can just continue with your slow, steady breaths. Finding stillness in your body. Feel free to keep your eyes open. You can just gaze forward or even down at the floor, or you're welcome to close your eyes. Just focus on your breathing. Just slow, steady breaths. Just to get this connection, deepen this awareness. A reminder that breath is the foundation of our practice, so we like to begin here, bringing our full attention to the breath. You can think of this as our seated meditation. And what you might bring to mind for your meditation is gentleness, kindness, love. Let's just bring a little bit more energy to the breath. All you need to do is just breathe a little slower. So as you inhale, maybe feeling the breath rising upward, filling up your lungs. A nice expansive feeling across the chest as you fill yourself up with air. And then as you exhale, as you're able, draw your navel inward towards your spine. Just a light contraction of your abdominal muscles. Just have an awareness here. Get an inhale to feel the lifting and lengthening of the spine, breath rising to fill up your lungs. You might even feel kind of this expansiveness across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. Then your exhale, draw belly in, connecting. You have this focus on breath and the sensation of breath as it moves through your body. It allows you to really stay present, letting go of the things that are going on outside of you. Paying attention to what's going on inside of you. Part of our main intention when we practice yoga together. Let's take 3 more breaths, using these breaths to prepare the body to move. And when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out across the room and all the way up. A nice extension, treat it like a nice stretch. Feel as if you're going to reach up and touch the ceiling. And exhale, reach out. Feel like you're going to touch the walls on either side of you as you bring your arms back down by your side. Let's do that again. Inhale, reaching out, lengthening through the arms, reaching all the way up. And exhale. Now just continue to move and breathe at your own pace. You don't have to follow me necessarily. Now as you inhale, reaching out and all the way up, just feel that lengthening through the sides of your body. And don't forget your breath is rising to fill up your lungs, as we did earlier in our breathing meditation. And then when you exhale and the arms come down, just feel the belly button pull in towards spine, continuing that light engagement of your abdominal muscles. We call that the abdominal lock. It's a way of supporting your body, whether you're in stillness or in motion. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on, and now take 2 more breaths. This is our moving meditation, the movement of breath and a simple movement of the body. And when you're complete, you just let your arms relax by your side, hands can rest in your lap. And notice that shift, that change from being in motion, then to stillness. And then just take a deep breath in stillness. While still seated nice and tall, go ahead and bring your hands behind you. Just prop yourself up onto your fingertips with your arms reaching back behind you. Also feel the shoulders draw back and engage your upper back muscles. You want to squeeze them towards your spine. Even imagine that there's a pencil right along your spine and you're trying to squeeze to hold on to it. Then tip your chin up just a little bit. We're just creating a little space in the upper chest. You don't have to lift it too high. Now, breathe in and press into the ground with the fingertips. You might feel an energy or a sensation in your arms. We're breathing in to fill up the lungs. Once again, feeling that stretch across the chest. Then, as you exhale, draw belly button in towards spine. So we're engaging the low belly, and also you're squeezing your shoulder blades together, engaging your upper back. So it provides support in the low section of the front, then upper section of the back. Get a nice inhale, fill up the lungs, right up to your collarbones. Feel the lungs expand. Exhale, draw belly in, squeeze your imaginary pencil. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths. I call this a seated mild back bend, although there is some good effort and energy happening here. When you're done, just lower your chin so you're facing forward. Walk your hands towards yourself so you're sitting up nice and tall, and you can bring your hands back into your lap. Once again, that shift from a very energetic body in that pose to a more softer, relaxed body. Since that was our mild back bend, let's take a forward fold. Here we're going to change our leg posturing, moving into cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. That's the more formal name. Here we just got the soles of the feet touching, the knees are bent and kind of opened out to the sides. Now instead of just letting them kind of hang there, this is where your books or blocks can come in handy. They can even be some small pillows for this case. So bring the blocks underneath so the legs actually rest on something. It just sends a signal to the brain that, oh, my leg is actually resting on something. I don't have to work. Alrighty, so you just want it to relax. That's going to help the release in the inner legs. Now go ahead and hold on to your shins or ankles. Sit up nice and tall. Take a nice full breath in. Once again, feeling the lengthening of the spine. Fill up the lungs. Exhale, draw belly in. That's also preparing the body to move with that exhale. We're hinging forward at the hips a little bit, leading with the heart and chin. And you can see I didn't go very far, just a slight angle in the upper body. We're going to do that again. Inhale, feel the lengthening of the spine, growing tall. Exhale, draw belly in, engaging and hinge forward a tiny bit more. And this is really as far as you need to go. All right, just holding here, kind of a lightness in the body as far as the sensation. Want to be able to hold this for, a relatively long period of time. We're not in reality, but you just want to feel as if you could. You don't want to feel stressed in the poses. Now, if you wanted to go a little deeper without compromising kind of this ease of the posture, what you can do is lower the chin a little bit and even round your back. That creates a little bit more space so you can fold a little bit more, and again, not feeling overly stressed in the posture. Now, wherever you are, just go ahead and take 3 more breaths. And since my back is rounded, I have created sensation in the back. And what this allows me to do also is to breathe deeply into the back, filling up the back body. Just as when we are seated, leaning back and opening up the heart, we're breathing into the heart space or the front body and the lungs. This is just breathing into the lungs from the back side. When we're complete, let's just lift the chin a little bit to extend the spine. And then just hinge yourself back up. You can press your hands into the floor to help assist your own body as you come back up nice and tall. And just hold here in stillness for a moment. Just take a breath. Alrighty, let's move these props out of the way. Let's come to our hands and knees. So just carefully maneuver your body so you are on your hands and knees, and just stay on your doubled up mats, or fold or unfold a blanket here, something soft for you to kneel on, just like this. We're going to move into cat and cow. It's 2 poses that flow together. Starting with cow, it's an inhale where you tip the chin up, looking forward, creating this arched back like a bowl or a U shape, tipping the pelvis back. Then exhale, tuck the pelvis under, feel the belly button pull up towards spine like we do in other postures, rounding the spine in this case, and then chin to chest. That's cat. Now I'm going in slow motion as I'm demonstrating. You go at your own pace. Inhale, lift the head, looking forward, arching the back, creates a bit of a back bend. Then exhale, round it all out, chin to chest. Feel the belly button pull up towards spine. And just continue with your flow, moving through this cat-cow flow. That's what we commonly call it. Experience the undulation of the spine. Really opens up the back body quite nicely. And then with the rocking of the pelvis, it kind of releases the pelvis a little bit, particularly in the low back. And that tends to get tight on us. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths, continuing through this cat-cow flow. And then when you're complete, just come to stillness, just pausing in this tabletop posture like so. Now your gaze is downward, right down between the thumbs so that your neck is long and neutral. Holding in stillness for a moment. And let's get ready for our next pose. First, we'll just crawl off the blanket here and set it to the side. Come back to hands and knees. And then step your hands forward so your hands and wrists are no longer underneath your shoulders, spreading out your fingers, one to create a nice strong base for your hands, but also to stretch between each finger. Then push or press your flat palms into the ground. This will help stabilize you, and it straightens and strengthens the arms. Stay just like that. Now tuck your toes under. Let's do one more cat-cow flow. You're going to inhale, lift head and heart, arch the back. That's our cow, back bend. Exhale, round it out into cat pose, chin to chest. Hold that for a second. From here, lift your knees off the mat and send your hips up into the air. You might need to reposition your feet a little bit by tiptoeing forward, even taking the feet a little wider. I even adjust my hands a little bit. Make sure your knees stay very bent while the hips continue to lift up into the air. Don't forget to press firmly into the ground with your hands, keeping the arms straight and strong. And then nod your head yes a few times, shake your head no, just to ensure that your neck feels loose. Sometimes we stiffen up in the neck in this posture. Now we're going to step forward a few steps until we're standing in the center of the mat. Just want to get your feet flat on the floor. You might need to slide your hands toward your toes. You'll be in forward fold for a second. Then inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Hold here in this half forward fold, and that's exactly what it's called. You can keep a slight bend in the knees. Your hands are just resting on the shins, creating this tabletop position. Take a couple breaths. You're still elongating through the spine as you inhale. Exhaling, pull belly button up towards spine in this case. And then we'll get ready to stand. Shifting your weight and energy into your heels, bend your knees and feel like you're going to sit down into a low chair. You can even walk your hands up to your thighs, press into your thighs to help you stand up nice and tall. And when you're tall, go ahead and take your arms up into the air, reach for the ceiling, and exhale, bring your arms down to your side. We've made it to our first standing position. This is mountain pose. Very nice. So we're going to continue. We're going to go through our half sun salute, which is basically just taking the body, taking it down into the forward fold, and then carefully coming back up. That's a half salute to the sun. Let's do that together. Here we go. Inhale, reach out and up. Good extension through the spine. Exhale, spread your wings. Bend your knees, sit back and down into that imaginary chair. This keeps the back flat for a moment. And then gravity starts to take over. Hands drop down, the head will drop, and your back may naturally round right here. You might touch your toes, but you don't have to. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Flatten the back. There's our tabletop. Hold here. Just kind of settle in. Hold for a moment. Continue to feel the extension of the spine. And now shifting your weight back into your heels, bend your knees, sit into that imaginary chair behind you, lifting the chest. This time you might even swing the arms out and then all the way up towards the ceiling, finishing the line. Exhale, arms down to your side. And that finishes our half salute to the sun. Very nice. Even take a moment just to roll out the shoulders. I like to check in with the joints. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers. All right. From here, we like to move into our variation of Warrior One, which is a lunge. Let's start in mountain pose and just follow me. As you're standing tall, make sure your shoulders feel relaxed, your neck is long, and your gaze is forward. Start with a slight bend in your knees and keep them bent. Shifting your weight now into your right foot, root into the floor, strong connection there. Nice and tall, lengthen spine, exhale, core connection. You might even lean forward a little bit, even feel the toes of your right foot grip the mat so you don't tip over, and then tap this left foot back until it just kind of naturally stops where you can't go any further, with the heel lifted and flexed toes like that. A little stretch for the toes for a second. A lot of strength happening in the standing front leg. And then you're going to pivot or turn that back leg, shift and sit into that heel so everything is balanced on the floor. We're going to keep a nice bend in this front knee like so. So this is our lunge, but the distance between the feet isn't that wide. Place your hands on your hips, push your pelvis down, and while at the same time trying to get as tall as you can through the torso. This will create some space in the belt line. And then we'll turn to face forward like so. Now an inhale, reaching both arms up into the air. Exhale, bend your elbows to about 90 degrees, something like this. So this is our variation of Warrior One, just to get used to the lunge, standing with your feet apart, the front leg with the slight knee bend, and for the back leg, the leg is relatively straight, but there is a slight bend in my back knee right there. Now go ahead and inhale and take the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down, bring your hands to your hips, and then shift your weight forward into your front foot so we can step forward, bringing both feet together. Balanced on 2 feet, let's re-extend the body by taking both arms up into the air. Inhale, then exhale, bring your arms back down by your side. Feel free to kind of shake things out before we get to the other side. Let's start with softness in the knees. Start shifting weight into your left foot. Strong connection into the ground, strong left leg. Okay. Inhale to get long in the torso and spine. Exhale, core connection. Lean forward, put some weight into the front toes. As we pick up and tap the right foot back until it stops, heel lifted, toes flexed. Hold that for a moment. You might even feel that in the back calf, as well in this front quadricep. Pivot or turn that right heel to the floor, shifting so you're center. Let's place hands on hips, pushing the pelvis down. Feel tall up top, again making space in the belt line so you can easily turn to face mostly forward. Be sure there's a nice bend in the left knee and your knee and toes are pointing forward. Inhale, let's take the arms straight up, getting that lengthening through the sides of the body. But here for the modification, we'll bend the elbows at 90 degrees. Hold here for several breaths. Feel balanced here. So it really gets us set up to be balancing on one foot, which will be coming a little bit later. Now go ahead and inhale and take the arms straight up into the sky. Exhale, arms back down, hands to hips, shifting your weight into your left foot. There we are, picking up the right foot, stepping forward, feet together, Let's inhale and take both arms up into the sky. A nice big stretch. Exhale, arms return to your side, finishing that sequence. Feel free whenever you finish these little sequences to just kind of check in with your body, see how your shoulders feel, check in with your neck, and then just other parts of your body. And then we'll get set up to continue. So we're going to be moving into our sun salutation. We break it down. We will be doing that variation or second variation of Warrior One. When you're ready, inhale, let's take the arms up into the air. This exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, and sit back into the imaginary chair as we did before. The back is flat initially, but then as gravity takes over, things start to drop and round. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, extending your spine. Feel the crown of your head lead you forward. Now this exhale, we're sliding back down the legs. Bend your knees a whole lot more. Let the back round. Let your head drop low enough so you can place your hands on the floor and start walking your feet to the back end of your mat. Take as many steps as you need to. Then once you're there, we're in plank pose, but we need to straighten out this line in the body, just like this. So you feel long and flat, not holding here too long. Breathe in, then exhale, bend your knees a little, and then send your hips up into the air as we move into downward facing dog where we've been before. Adjust your feet, adjust your hands. Don't forget to spread out your fingers. Press your palms firmly into the mat, strong arms. Okay, here comes our second version of Warrior One. Here, inhale and pick up your right foot and extend the right leg back behind you. It doesn't have to lift high, just as long as you feel that it's straight. When you exhale, bend the right knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your whole upper body forward. This builds a lot of strength, by the way. And then set the right foot down. Okay, so we have all 4 points on the floor, being sure your shoulders are right over the wrists. Now you're going to set your left knee onto the floor so we can shift the weight away from the hands. Pick up your right hand and go get your right foot. Literally go get it, pick it up, and place it up a little higher on your mat. Once it's there, we'll pick up that left knee. Now there's more distance between the feet. We're getting ready for Warrior One, second version. We're going to turn that whole left foot so the heel is on the floor. Now the weight is still probably forward. What we want to do is kind of come up to fingertips, step the hands back a little so we can shift our energy and weight back into that left foot. Be sure your right knee is bent, knee and toes are pointing forward, and a little lift. You can see I'm on my fingertips extending the spine. Using this energy now to hinge from hips, it's really the strength of this front leg, to rise up until you're nice and tall, then follow the arms up into the air. Reach high and then lunge, just like that. So here's our second version of Warrior One. Hold for a moment. Now inhale, reach a little higher through the fingertips. Exhale, turn your torso towards your left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Making sure this right knee is still bent and pointing forward. Sometimes it likes to dip to the inside of the leg. We want to make sure it's still pointing forward, okay? And then side angle pose, which is really taking Warrior Two. Angle the upper body by reaching forward like so, and then we'll rotate the arms, reaching down and then reaching up like this. Nice opening. I feel like there's a stretch quality going on here, trying to touch the ceiling, opening up through the whole front side of the body. And notice I'm up pretty high in the pose. You don't have to touch the floor. You certainly can, but for soft flow, again, you want to be at a place where you can hold this relatively long. Even if this left arm gets a little tired, even feel free to bring this left arm down. We're still essentially in the pose. Okay? If the arm came down, let's go ahead and take it back up with an inhale. Exhale. I like to kind of lift up out of the posture, giving me space to turn, fold, have the hands out and ready to go. Let them land on the mat. Rise up onto the tiptoes behind you. I call this a runner's lunge. Like that, ready to go. Now push more firmly into the floor with the hands, strong arms, so I can slide this right foot back to meet the other, realigning the body, plank pose. If you need to, you can always bring knees to the floor, something like this for your plank. Inhale. Exhale. If the legs are straight, just bend the knees a little, and then send your hips up into the air. You might need to tiptoe forward. You might need to do that every time, even if I don't give that instruction, just so that your hips remain nice and high. I call this the high mountain peak.
Keep the knees bent, hips high, hands firm on the floor. Let's do the other side. Inhale, pick up your left foot and extend the left leg straight back behind you. As you exhale, bend this left knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your whole upper body forward. Shoulders are over the wrists. Set the left foot down. Set your right knee down. Pull back so there's less weight on the hands. Let's go get the left foot, pick it up, and place it up a little higher. It doesn't have to go all the way to the top of the mat, just forward. Replant that left hand. Relift the right knee. Pivot the right foot so it's on the floor. Walk the hands back as you rise up to fingertips, finding your center, but also finding alignment through the spine. Everything is nicely aligned, ready to hinge our way up, nice and tall. And inhale to take both arms up into the air. Exhale, lunge a little deeper. What you may feel, several things, lengthening through the sides of the body. Nice lunge for strengthening the left leg. The right leg, the hip flexor, okay, kind of in that hip or pelvic area, upper thigh, low belly, is getting a nice lengthening. Inhale. Exhale, turn towards the right side of the room. Bring your arms down to parallel. Here's our warrior two position. Check in with the left knee, being sure it's pointing directly forward. Here's our side angle. Taking the warrior two, angle it by reaching forward, and then rotate the arms. I'm going to stay up even higher this time. This left hand is actually right on top of the left thigh. While the right hand is reaching up, I'm literally trying to touch the ceiling, so it's quite opening, very expressive in the body. Remember, you can certainly go a little lower, but see if you can be here, even if you need to bring the right arm down to your side so the shoulder doesn't get too fatigued, but staying at this angled position. This is a nice opening for the legs, hips, strengthening through the legs. Let's go ahead and inhale and take this right arm back up into the air. Exhale, I like to lift, turn, and fold, all on the exhale. Carefully landing on the hands, rise up onto tiptoes behind there. Here's a runner's lunge. Press palms strongly into the mat. If you can, it's very subtle, but I'm lifting my hips up a little bit. That should allow me to slide this left foot back. Plank pose, straight line, let's hold. See if we can hold this a little bit longer. Good strength building. You can always bring knees to the floor. Now we're done. Go ahead and bring the knees to the floor if they're not there already. Sit back briefly in what's called hero pose, just to get off the hands, and then sit off to the side like so. Swing the legs around to the front, and go ahead and scoot so you're sitting in the center of the mat. Bring in your blocks. You want to have them right next to you so you can easily grab them. We're getting ready for our bridge pose. It's a supported back bend. That's why we want to use the books or blocks. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. I'll meet you there. I'm just going to adjust my mat. Once you're down on your back, you can bring your knees into chest. And maybe some movement here. I like to create these figure 8 movements with the body. Seems like it just gives my low back and hips a nice massage. And now that we're off the feet, I like to check in with the feet and maybe just circle the ankles in one direction and then the other direction, and then flex and point. And if you can, kind of wiggle the toes. And then when you're set, go ahead and set the feet down onto the floor, keeping the knees bent. Hold here for a moment. You can even soften the body, just relax. Make sure you can easily grab your blocks. When you're ready, inhale and fill up the lungs. Exhale, engaging the belly, and with that energy you've created, lifting the hips into the air, slide your blocks underneath you and sit right on the books or blocks. This is the supported back bend or supported bridge pose. Now you can just stay just like this, but just let's add a little bit of energy to this, okay? Now my feet are wide on the mat, which kind of makes the knees wide, and they want to fall outward naturally, but we actually want to feel like we're holding on to something between the knees. And since my knees are separated, I imagine like I'm holding like a beach ball, just gently squeezing it so I don't lose it. Always moving towards center. Now my back, my upper back just feels kind of flat on the floor. What I can do is rock right and left a little bit and get my shoulders a bit underneath the body. And the arms can just rest down on the floor here. Now what I'm mimicking is, remember when we were seated and I had you bring your hands behind you? and you rolled your shoulders back and you were squeezing your shoulder blades together. This is mimicking that a little bit. Okay, just getting the shoulders behind you, but in this case, kind of underneath you. Alrighty. Let's take 3 more breaths here. This is considered a back bend, kind of another mild back bend. We did a seated one that was mild, and this is the lying down version or variation of a back bend with some support. When you're finished, we can release the arms if the arms are underneath you. Okay, and then press into the floor with the feet to lift your hips so you can move your books or blocks out of the way and carefully, slowly return to the floor. Then extend your legs out front, reach your arms behind you just to create a nice stretch. This too mimics mountain pose or extended mountain pose when we're standing and bringing the arms up into the air. You might bend your knees again. We're going to come up to seated. You might just hug the knees in like so and rock your way up to a seated position, but you can also just roll to one side if that feels okay. Use your hands and press yourself up. All right. Now go ahead and scoot back a little bit so you can extend your legs. Okay. Now this is where your strap might come in handy. Let me just have it nearby. We'll talk about a few things. First, we're going to do staff pose. So staff pose is keeping the legs straight, feet flexed, but we also want to have a nicely extended spine. So place your hands on the floor by your hips, push into the floor to help assist your own spine, sitting up nice and tall. Just like this. Let's just hold here for a few breaths. Now, you've heard me say a few things like this pose mimics another pose, or this pose resembles another pose. For example, we were just lying down on the floor, extending the legs out front, reaching the arms behind you, which mimics standing on your own 2 feet with the arms in the air. So very similar, except your bodies is just in a different position. So we're kind of doing the same thing with our 2 featured poses. Tree pose and head to knee pose, because the leg positioning is similar. So let's just do a hamstring stretch as we're preparing for some of these postures. Now, let's go ahead and relax that staff pose that we were just in. If you'd like, use a strap or a belt. We're going to wrap the strap around the soles of the feet here, like so, holding on to the strap. You can keep the elbows bent, and so they're just kind of right by your side, kind of relaxed here by your side. And then if you tug on the strap, use that as a way to assist your spinal extension. Inhale as you do so. Exhale, another tug of the strap to hinge forward, just a little bit, okay? Not far at all. You can always adjust your hands on your strap, like so. Inhale, more extension through the spine at this new angle. Exhale, a little tug and fold. Now here, I'm really feeling this pose. It may not look like I'm doing much, but I do feel this. Mainly because everything's straight. My legs are straight, my spine is straight, so a little bit more sensation here. So if you need to or want to, you can always put a little bend in the knees, round your back, lower the head, creates a little bit more space so you can go a little deeper, okay? Remember, we're trying to keep things somewhat soft and gentle so we're not compromising the body, not overstressing or overwhelming the body. All right, 2 more breaths. And we're ready, we'll just rise back up. We'll go ahead and release the strap, and we'll just set that to the side. Keep it handy because you might use that again. Let's come back to cobbler's pose, just getting that stretch out of the hamstrings by bending the knees, soles of the feet together, sitting up nice and tall. Now a little bit later, we're going to go do some more mimicking. Okay, now we're in the seated position of Baddha Konasana, which just means bound angle pose. This is the seated upright version. Later on, I'm going to be doing Supta Baddha Konasana, which means it's a reclining version. It's the similar pose, and the body's in a similar posturing, but it's going to feel a little bit different. Alrighty. We're going to come around to our hands and knees, so lean to one side, so you can swing the legs back behind you. Right here. While we're here, go ahead and take 2 breaths, cat and cow, just to keep that nice spinal movement. Inhale to cow. Exhale, round it out into cat. 1 more. And when you're done, just come to a neutral position. Let's set up for down dog. Step the hands forward, spread out your fingers, press palms firmly into the ground. Strong, straight arms. Tuck your toes. 1 more breath, cat, cow. Inhale, lift up or look up. Exhale, round it out. Chin to chest, engage your belly, lift your knees, lift your hips. Tiptoe forward a little bit. Strong arms, down dog. Let's walk forward until the feet are flat on the mat. Slide your fingers toward your toes. Feel this nice forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Flat back. Hold there for a second. Then shift your weight into your heels. Bend your knees. Tip your upper body up. Spread your wings. Stand up tall. Here's that extended mountain pose. Reaching upward as the feet root into the earth. And then bring your arms down to your side. Very nice. Go ahead and shake out those shoulders if you like. Alrighty. Now you want to stand next to an object that's going to help you with balance. It could be a chair, a wall, a table. I'm going to bring in my chair. I'm just going to make a little space for my chair by folding in my mat. Just like this. Now go ahead and stand with your left hand on the wall or chair or table. Just like this. So we're going to be using that object as a way to balance. And we're going to be balancing on that foot. So in this case, we're going to be balancing on the left foot. So I'm just standing nice and tall. Your hand can be on your object. The other arm just down by your side. Make sure you have a nice long neck. Gaze forward. Soften the knees a little bit. Shift your weight into your left foot. Root into the floor. It's almost like that setup when we were doing the variation of Warrior One. Plant that foot into the ground. Feel the legs strengthen. Inhale. Feel lengthen and tall through the spine. Exhale. Draw belly button in. I'm just lifting that back heel like that. Okay. I'm just lifting the heel like we did earlier. Okay. But I'm going to pick up the foot from the floor. Just use this object to help you balance. I'm taking this knee out to the side, but actually you can't really see this, but it's really pointing towards the corner. Okay, then just place the foot on the inside of your standing leg. You can, if you're able, bring this foot to inner thigh. That's a significant bend in the knee. Remember this positioning, by the way. Alrighty? Or if that's too high, you can always bring the foot down. I would suggest below the knee of the standing leg, so you're not pressing into the knee joint. So my foot's along the calf, right there. Or even down lower, toes flexed on the floor just to help with balance. We already have balance assisting over here, but you can also have balance assisting on the other side. Let's go ahead and take this free arm up into the air. Reaching straight up. I'm going to bring my foot to my calf area. And again, remember this positioning. So we have one leg that's straight, and then one knee that's bent, foot against the inside leg. 2 more breaths. Let's keep the arm extended as you're able to swing that right knee forward, lifting the knee, flexing the foot to keep the leg energized, and then set the foot down onto the floor, rebalancing on 2 feet, and bring the arms down by your side, maybe both arms down. So you're neutral in mountain pose. So that's our tree pose. So we're doing tree pose and head to knee pose. They are similar. Okay, the similar faction is one leg straight, the other knee bent. I'm going to turn around so we can do the other side. Alrighty. So that was the left foot we were standing on. Now we're balancing on the right foot. So shifting into the right foot, root down, feel tall. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Don't forget your hand is on your table or chair. Exhale, draw belly in. I'm just lifting the other heel. Okay, a little flex through the toes, and then we're going to pick up the foot entirely off the floor. Foot is flexed, it just energizes this leg. We're going to take the knee out to the corner of the room or to the side, and placing foot on the inside of the standing leg. If you're able, once again, you're welcome to place foot on the inner thigh. Again, remember this placement, okay, because this is what we would ideally do in our head to knee pose. But if that's too much of a bend in the knee and it doesn't feel good, you can always bring it down lower. In this case, below the knee, so we don't compromise the knee joint, or even down lower, toes touching the floor. When you're ready, go ahead and extend your left arm up into the air. Reaching, you want to have this lifting sensation so that the torso feels long and tall as well as the spine. What we're doing is creating space around the whole midsection here. Holding for a couple more breaths. Good energy in the body. Still breathing. We're going to keep that arm lifted. Let's swing the left knee forward.
lifting the knee with the flexed foot, and then plant the foot into the ground, balanced on 2 feet, arms return to your side, and there we are, returning to mountain pose. Feel free to shake all that out. Okay, so that's our balance, that's our tree pose. We're going to make our way down to the floor to do our second posture. Okay, I'm going to get set up. I'm going to move my chair out of the way, unfold my mat, and we're just going to start in mountain pose because we are going to be flowing. Okay, here's our mountain pose, ready to go. Inhale, take both arms up into the sky, big stretch. Exhale, spread your knees. Spread your wings, don't spread your knees. We're going to bend the knees and sit back into the imaginary chair, folding forward, down to your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, extending your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Let the back round, relax your head. Hands to the floor, let's walk. Both feet back. Once again, plank pose. Holding for strength. And then we're just going to bring the knees to the floor gently. Sit back into our hero pose just to get off the hands and then off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. All right, let's get set up for our head to knee pose. And a little lesson about that posture. Now, listen to the words. Head to knee pose. Now, we're not trying to literally get the head all the way down to the knees. Not in this class. If you can, in other classes, then you're certainly welcome to go there. We're doing a variation of the posture. We're just moving towards that position. Now, we start like we did in staff pose. Both legs are straight, out in front of you, flexing the feet to keep the legs strong. Hands on the floor by your hips, just to extend the spine. And just take a couple breaths here. Now, here comes the setup that's similar to our tree pose. I'm going to kind of sit off to on my right cheek, bend the left knee out to the side it goes, and bring this left foot to the inner right leg. It's at my inner thigh. Remember this from tree pose? Now this might feel very different, especially since we're seated, but do check in with this left knee. If it feels like it's too bent or it doesn't feel like it can hold this position, feel free to slide that foot down the leg a little bit. Now it's okay if this knee does not touch the floor. It doesn't have to touch the floor. This is where maybe a block, book, even a pillow, something soft that the leg can rest on. Okay, it does not have to reach the floor. This is a hip opener. Just like the tree pose, yes, it is ideally or initially a balancing posture because we're standing on one foot, but it's also a hip opener because of the leg posturing. We're doing the same thing here. We're also engaging in the leg extension. This time we're going to fold. This is the head to knee sensation. All right, we're going to wrap the strap around that foot to help guide us. Okay, good hold of the strap. Inhale to lift tall, lengthen spine. Exhale, pull belly in, a little tug of the strap, hinge forward. You want to feel that you're really leading with the chest or heart and chin, like you're going outward, out that way, rather than trying to bend and literally bring your head to your knee. Okay, think of sending your heart out towards your toes. Okay, or past your toes. Alrighty, so this is the variation of head to knee pose. Alrighty, a couple breaths here. It's very similar to not only tree pose, but that staff pose when we were folding forward, getting a nice hamstring stretch. What I really enjoy about this posture is that many things are happening at the same time. Nice spinal extension. You can even round the back to get a little stretch through the back. We're getting the stretch through the hamstring and the hip opener on the left leg. Let's go ahead and rise back up, nice and tall. We'll release the strap. Alrighty, and I'm just going to lift this knee, re-extend the leg, come back to staff pose just as a way to realign the body. I'm just going to do the exact same thing other side. So I'm going to keep the left leg straight. I'm going to bend the right knee, bring the foot to inner thigh or lower if you need to. And again, if that knee doesn't touch the floor, bring in a folded blanket, a big pillow, a couple of blocks. Perfect. I like to kind of shift, so I'm just sitting comfortably. I just call that a resit. Just kind of lift and just sit more comfortably. And then we're going to do that same forward fold. Wrap the strap around the sole of the foot. Sit up nice and tall, prepping to go. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull belly in, also a light tug of the strap. Send your heart and chin forward. Again, just right here, I feel this. Mainly because two things. One, the leg is straight, my spine is straight, and also my left hamstring isn't as flexible as my right. And so it doesn't take much for me to feel the stretch, okay? So just notice where your body is and how it feels at this moment. You might be able to go a little lower without compromising the posture or overwhelming your system. Remember, soft flow with the intention of only moving into a pose about 60 to 70% so that we can hold it, let the body get used to it comfortably, easily, hold it for a long time, and reap the full benefits. 2 more breaths. And we're ready to rise back up, coming out of the pose. So that's head to knee pose. Obviously that was a modification or a variation of the posture. All right, I'm going to lift this knee, extend the leg, realigning the body, kind of doing a little reset right there, coming back to staff pose to help realign, and then complete. Alrighty, let's finish up our practice. Scoot so you're sitting in the center of your mat. Blocks are nearby. Roll down onto your back. Go ahead and hug the knees into chest. Another opportunity to kind of soften it and relax. Sitting up is actually a lot of work. It may not seem like it, but it takes a lot in your core, your spine, your hips to sit up nice and tall. So when you get to lie down like this is a way to kind of relax and bring relief to the body. Okay, remember that reclining cobblers? Remember cobbler's pose? We're doing the reclining version here. So we'll start by bringing the soles of the feet together. Okay, like this. You might even hold on to the feet for a second. This is the more classic version, like this. But we're going to do this version where we get to relax a little bit. Bring the feet to the floor, knees opened. Again, you can use your books or blocks just in case the legs don't touch the floor, and they never need to. But I like this version because it doesn't feel like the legs are just kind of holding open, which adds tension. Here the legs are relaxing. And I can really experience the full relaxation in the inner legs, hips, and my low back. So once again, just kind of check in. Always okay to use props. Even if you're using or practicing something that's a little bit more dynamic and challenging, you can always use props. While you're here, let's take some deep breaths. Very relaxing. Let's take 3 more breaths. We'll do a few more poses before we move into Shavasana. We're going to do 1 more back bend. We're going to do bridge pose again. So I'm going to bring my knees together, plant the feet into the floor. Again, I like to take my feet a little wider. That just feels good for me. I got both my blocks here. With your next exhale, lift your hips high enough so you can slide your books or blocks underneath you. Sit. Adjust the feet. It's okay if the legs are wide. Don't forget, we're still hugging to center. Hold on to the imaginary beach ball. Your arms can just remain straight with a flat upper back, or get the shoulders a bit underneath you, squeezing shoulder blades together. Don't forget about that imaginary pencil. Take some deep breaths. Let's take 5. After the 5th breath, take your time. We're going to add a pose from here. We're going to add an extension of the legs. Now I'm sitting on the blocks. I've got 2 blocks. You can keep the 2 blocks or remove 1 if you are using 2, or remove both. What we're going to do from here when you're ready is extend both legs up into the air like so. And I just thought of something. Here's another way that we can mimic the postures that we've already done. Tree pose and head to knee pose. With the legs extended,
keep the right leg straight, but then slide this left foot down the inside of the right leg. So I'm just placing my foot just around the knee area while my left knee is pointing to the side. So I form that same shape in the legs. Okay, and just notice what this feels like in the low back and hips. We're not going to hold this too long. I'm going to re-extend the left leg, bend the right knee so I can bring the right foot to the inner left leg. It's just touching it. It's not pressing into it at all. It's just touching it. Just keep it in place. One more breath. And then re-extend the leg. Reach high, inhale. And with the exhale, bend the knees, place the feet back down onto the floor. We can remove our blocks if you were using them. Lift your hips, slide the blocks out from underneath you. Come to the earth. Go ahead and stretch out. Stretch the legs out. Reach the arms behind you. We'll finish with a twist. Hug both knees into chest. And we'll take the knees over to the left side while the right arm extends to the right side. Something to know about twists like this is that in some cases, you know, your left leg, at least my left leg, it touches the floor quite easily. There's a gap between the knees here. That's fine too. You might be able to do this pose where the legs touch. Now, for some, this might feel like an over rotation or there's too much going on in the twist in the low back. That's going to cause stress. So this is where your props once again come in handy. So if that left leg doesn't reach the floor or you don't want it to, place something underneath it so the legs rest, okay, on that prop, even one between the knees. And this will soften the rotation so you don't feel like you're stressing into the stretch, if that makes sense. This feels much better. I can do the other way, but I could really feel that tension kind of building in my low back. This is a little bit more comfortable. I don't feel that same tension. And I feel like actually I can hold this a little bit longer and probably benefit from it more. All right, 3 more breaths. You can certainly stay here longer if it feels good. Whenever you're ready, just returning to center. I'm just going to pick up my blocks here, hug the knees into chest. And when I slowly take the knees over to the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm already setting up my blocks over there, so my right leg will just kind of stop right on that block. I'm going to use my other one and place it between the knees. This could also just be something soft, like a pillow or a blanket that's folded. And the left arm extends to the left side of the room. So the knees are to the right. Because we're rotating in that direction, it's going to affect kind of the left area and the low back and hips. A nice little rotation that's happening in the low back area. When you come to these postures that you're just holding, just focus on your breath. And since you're lying down, you can do this with eyes opened or with eyes closed. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths. And then when you feel complete, come back up to center. We're finished with the blocks. Give yourself another hug here. And then extend the legs out front. You can do one more stretch by taking the arms behind you if you like, or just rest your arms down by your side. We're moving into Shavasana. Shavasana is just our relaxation pose where the body can come to complete release. There's no more engaging of the body. It's a nice softening of the entire system that includes your body and your mind. Once again, your eyes can remain open for the duration. Just take a soft gaze upward, or you can close your eyes and gaze inward.
slow, steady breaths. In a way, our Shavasana mimics our mountain pose where we started the practice. We took that moment to feel fully present, moving inward, focusing on the breath, preparing for the practice. Now that we're at the end of the practice, in a similar formation of the body but now lying down, we reap the benefits of the practice, but still feeling calm, centered, relaxed. Let this sense of ease flourish throughout your entire body. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. If you do plan to stay here a little longer, you might want to use some props, like that big pillow, a rolled up blanket, anything that's going to give you even more comfort in your body, so you can hold here. Feel free to stay as long as you'd like, even when I finish the practice. And when it is time to move, take your time. Don't move too quickly or too suddenly. And actually the movement might begin with breath. Feel the active movement of breath. Take some deep breaths. Maybe even count 5 deep breaths to yourself. Each breath bringing new energy to the body as it prepares to move. As you feel that movement return, take your time and you'll roll onto one side of your body, pausing here in this nurturing pose. And when you're ready, continue to move in slow motion. Press into the floor to help lift your body so you can come to seated. Feel free to sit on something soft like your blanket or pillow. I want to return to that nicely extended spine, sitting up tall and proud. Shoulders are relaxed, arms are relaxed. Hands can just rest in your lap for a moment. Find stillness, find your breath. We'll take one more movement together. Inhale and extend your arms out and up. Reach for the ceiling. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more breath. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.